In our special report today, we'll look at anti-Museveni coalitions. Now, since he stood in Uganda's direct presidential elections in 1996, Yoweri Museveni has faced several coalition forces. The one to try to dislodge him in 2021 is already taking shape. New Vision TV looks at the electoral coalitions that President Museveni has had to fight.
In 1995, Museveni's Foreign Affairs Minister, Paul Kawanga Ssemogerere, resigned and declared that he was going to stand for presidency. Political parties were still barred from seeking power, and elections were under the no-party format of the movement. All the same, there were two clear camps: the pro-Museveni movement and the supporters of multi-party politics. These formed a coalition called the Interpolitical Forces Coalition, IFFC. It was comprised of Ssemogerere's Democratic Party, the Uganda People's Congress of the then-exiled former president Milton Obote, and others opposed to the no-party rule. Led by Miriam Tagamba, IFFC pitched camp at Kabusu in Rubaga Division. UPC was still unpopular but had the grassroots network, which was vital, while the Democratic Party had lost a lot as most of its supporters in Buganda, where it had virtually won all the seats in the 1980 elections, had since turned to the NRM, and many remained there. The 1996 elections ended with Museveni victorious. IPFC leader Miriam Tagamba joined Museveni's camp and was appointed minister. In 2000, Museveni's close associate and former personal doctor, Kano Kizza Besigye, quit the military and declared that he was going to stand for presidency. Several pro-change and anti-Museveni tendencies had developed. Besides the Democratic Party and Uganda People's Congress, there now was the Parliamentary Advocacy Forum, Uganda Young Democrats from DP, and some Young Parliamentary Association members. These came together under the reform agenda that spearheaded Kizza Besigye's campaign. The campaign was still lukewarm until ex-Kampala Mayor Nasser Sebagala, freshly released from an American jail where he had served time for forgery and bank fraud, made his dramatic entry. The Uganda National Examinations Board had just declared Sebagala ineligible due to lacking academic qualifications, and he threw his weight behind Besigye, dramatically electrifying the whole campaign. Sebagala started by throwing out Besigye's campaign symbol of an ear and introduced the hammer, which was supposed to knock Museveni out of office. Museveni won the election. Like Mutagamba 5 years earlier, Sebagala joined Museveni's camp and was given a lucrative State House scholarship to go to Britain and acquire the polish and qualification to run for office in Uganda. Besigye fled to exile. In the weakly contested referendum of 2005, Uganda returned to political pluralism and parties were freed to contest for power. A team of reform agenda players flew to South Africa and persuaded Dr. Besigye to lead a new party, the Forum for Democratic Change. Besigye's most fierce supporter was Betty Kamya, who ensured he was elected virtually unopposed. Because Besigye was in exile, the new party was led by Proscovia Salam Musumba, another woman warrior, as the interim chairperson, as they awaited the day Besigye would be able to return. FDC mobilized members and other parties as well to support Besigye. Besigye eventually returned, got arrested and locked up, but continued to get nominated. The FDC-led campaign rolled, but again Museveni prevailed and won the 2006 elections. Betty Kamya stayed in the opposition, but 10 years later joined Museveni's camp and became the minister for Kampala Capital City Authority. In the election of 2011, there was no effort to form coalitions and many parties fielded their candidates. There were 8 candidates and Museveni easily defeated all the opponents, with Besigye emerging as runner-up for the 3rd time. The run-up to the 2016 elections was dramatic as the NRM camp was hit by another very high level of split. Party Secretary General and then Prime Minister Amama Mbabazi showed interest in standing for presidency. Then little-known young MP Evelyn Anite led efforts to weaken him, ending in his losing both the Secretary Generalship and the Premier job. There were international efforts both in the United States and the United Kingdom to sponsor a coalition to defeat Museveni, and it was named the Democratic Alliance. Lengthy negotiations were held, but in the end, neither Besigye nor Mbabazi could yield the Democratic Alliance candidature for the other. Besigye stood again as FDC candidate. The Democratic Alliance remained with Mbabazi as candidate, and he kept DPs Norbert Mao and some MPs like Medad Segona and Beatrice Anywa. Museveni again won, with Besigye coming in a strong second at 35% of the vote. The Democratic Alliance's Mbabazi somehow failed to even get 1.5% of the vote. Museveni appointed several opposition leaders to the cabinet like Betty Kamya, Florence Nachiwala and Betty Amongi. The Democratic Alliance's Beatrice Anywa has also joined Museveni's camp. Now, 22 months before the 2021 general elections, formation of electoral coalition expressly seeking to remove Museveni has started. Key players so far featured in the effort are retired General Mugisha Muntu, who recently left Forum for Democratic Change and has formed the Alliance for National Transformation, new kid on the block Robert Kyagulanyi, known as Bobby Wine, and Norbert Mao. Ugandans are watching to see if the coalition will grow or even hold over the next 22 months.